Guys, so as I said in the email, I've learned over the last few years how important it is to have an up-to-date business plan. So, a lot of us think of a business plan as something that we should do. Maybe it's something that should happen at the beginning when you start a business to prove the concept, to prove it works, maybe to get funding, to do a financial plan. All of that stuff is really important. But actually, a business plan should be a living document. It should be something that's updated at least annually. Ideally, you've got a quarter planned. It does depend on the size of your business. It does depend on what you're trying to achieve. It does depend if you're trying to push things forward. But I'd say best practice, particularly if you've got a team, but it's even not a bad thing to do if it's just your business of one, because even if you're a business of one, it'd be easier. You don't have to worry about the people development plan section, which I'll talk about in a second. But the idea is you need something that's living and breathing, it's live, it's meaningful, it's up to date, it's relevant, because things change in business. One of the biggest things we all have learned over COVID is the need to be agile, to pivot. I think pivot was a bit of a popular word in the business world at that time. People doing takeaways that weren't used to doing takeaways, pubs and restaurants taking on technology for table service, all that sort of stuff. So you've got to be flexible. So an up-to-date business plan just realigns, what am I focusing on? And you need to take your head out of the weeds every now and again in your business. You need to zoom out and you need to see the trees, not just the leaves. You need to zoom out and see the bigger picture, because you could be stuck in the jungle, ploughing through all the deep greenery, fighting all the challenges off, but actually you're heading in the wrong direction. So you need to zoom out, see where you're heading. And I appreciate to some of you that might not seem relevant for where you are in your business, but I would argue even if you're a lifestyle business, it's good to get a little bit of alignment. It might only take you 20 minutes, 30 minutes, a quarter to do this. If you're developing a team, it's super, super important. It's even more important, and it's really important if you're looking to grow your business. So and it doesn't need to be 15 pages long. I'd recommend a 1-page business plan. Even if it's 2 pages front and back, I'd still call that a 1-page business plan. So I've summarized what I found to work. You don't have to follow this, but it kind of covers all of the main areas in my opinion, and I've sort of adapted it for my business, and you could perhaps adapt it for yours. So really quickly, you need something to do with finance. We're accountants, and obviously that's what we do. But there's, a lot of the time for a lot of our clients, we are doing what you feel you need to do for your business. Often that's to keep the tax man happy. But I'm a strong believer in being on top of the financials, know your numbers, know your business. Proper Dragon's Den stuff. If you went on to Dragon's Den, and you're supposed to know your numbers. Your accountant's not there to answer those questions for you. So I believe any business owner should take a little bit of responsibility for understanding their numbers. So that's where these financial targets come into it. You might look at these and think, I don't know, you're my accountant. But the truth is, I'm not talking about accounting. I'm not talking about us doing your accounts, your tax return, your VAT. This is about you knowing your own numbers. So I'm very aware people can throw this back and say, oh, I don't know these numbers, you're my accountant. But this is nothing to do with being an accountant. This is actually more business mentoring, business coaching. So this is about you as the business owner having accountability to know your numbers. And these targets are for the next quarters. So if you're doing it now, you might want to do quarter 3 up to the end of September, quarter 4 up to the end of December. You don't have to complete all of it. Maybe if you just can complete the next quarter, that's fine. July, August, September. I know we're halfway through July, but it'll still be helpful for you. And essentially all it is a budget, a target. What do you expect your sales to be, your revenue for July, August, September? Add them together, that's your revenue. Your GP, your gross profit, that's after you take off your direct costs. So if you're a builder, you take off materials, you take off the wages to the staff that are doing the work, the subcontractors. If you're an e-commerce business and you've got a product business, you take off the cost of buying the stock. That would come off. You might take some of the wages off. It depends. If you've got someone's job is purely packing, for example, if it's a e-commerce business, then that might come off the GP. But to keep it simple, it's the staff costs that are producing the service or the work, not administration staff and indirect staff such as sales and marketing, but the staff who are doing the work, plus materials or cost of sales, so buying and selling the items. That's what comes off to get to your GP, your gross profit. So it's revenue minus cost of sales equals your gross profit. So if I'm a builder with £100,000 business, if my materials are £50,000, that means my gross profit is £50,000. Net profit is after everything. What's the bottom line? What's your net profit? I wouldn't bother taking off a director salary. Ignore what you're paying yourself. Add that back on, because really you need a profit to be able to pay yourself. And then net assets. I'm not going to go. This isn't a strategic financial training course. I'm actually not going to go into detail too much about that. Cash is just what money's going to be in the bank at the end of the quarter, end of September, for example. Net assets, I wouldn't really worry about that for the moment. The people that learn more about that, that's probably a little bit more advanced type stuff. KPIs has key performance indicators. What are the key KPIs? So kind of results and ratios that are going to show your business is working or your business is achieving what it needs to in the next quarter. So it might be percentage of prospects that sign up to become a paying client. So for example, if you had 10 prospect meetings or you sent out 10 quotes, if 5 of them sign up with you, that's a 50% rate, conversion rate they call that. That might be one of your metrics. It might just simply be add on £10,000 worth of revenue. It might be add on 5 new customers. It might be what's the word? Service focus. It might be to complete jobs within a week, within 3 weeks. I'm not going to sort of dive into the detail because I can be here a long time, but think about what are the activities that's going to, and the results is going to show you've done, your business is working. So it generally relates to sales, marketing, finances, service. So there's something called an NPS, which is a Net Promoter Score, and that's a customer service survey where people rate you out of 10, whether they'd recommend you to a friend. And 9 and 10s count as promoters. So that means they're high advocates of your business. And at the bottom end, they're detractors. So it might be some sort of customer review or Google reviews or whatever works for you. The driver is, so you've got to separate the symptom or the results to the root cause. So for example, if somebody's saying that the result is money in the bank, my KPI is to increase my cash by 10 grand. What is the driver to increase your cash by 10 grand? What sort of activities do you need to do? Generally, it's going to be win more business, send more quotes out, do the work quicker, whatever that means for you, and who's the owner who's going to actually do that. Looking at some of the other things, so strategic plan is the direction of your business for the next 3 months. What's your focus as a business? Is it to introduce that new service? Is it to clear the backlog of your work? Is it to keep customers happy and focus on quality of reviews? Is it to expand your team? Is it to introduce a new marketing initiative? Is it to pay off debt? What is the kind of overall strategic 1, 2, and 3? Or even if you've just got one, what's the main sort of mission of the business and the direction for the next 3 months? People development plan. If you've got a team, it could even be yourself actually. So if it's just you, what are the things that or what's the road and what are the things that need to progress? Because we can't grow our business unless we grow our people. So what is the areas you need to improve on in terms of the people side of your business? Scorecard is just what are the kind of results really, what are the accountabilities to show that person. So say for example, you've got a salesperson. That's the key role, and the salesperson, you want them to, the plan is for them to increase sales. And you need to give them training for sales. They need to improve their sales technique. The scorecard might be hours put into training, or it might be amount of appointments. So I'm not going to dive too much into the detail. I just really want to get you thinking about your business and how this can relate to your business. And even if it means slightly different for you in your business, you don't have to take it literally how I would suggest you use this. And then just a little summary about who's your customers, who's your market, to get that super sharp focus on who you're working with in your business. who are your customers, who are you, who's your target market, who's trying to attract you. A lot of people say you can't be everything to everyone. So, I always use the example, it's a bit of a random one, but it works for me. If you went into McDonald's and asked them to make a spaghetti bolognese, they probably could, but it's not worth it to them. They don't want people looking for spaghetti bologneses, because there's Italian restaurants that do that. They want people that want cheap, relatively cheap burgers at good value. So it's getting clear on who are your customers, who's your target market, what's your key message to them, and how you're going to come across online or whatever channel you're using in terms of your media. And then a few other things, opportunities to hit in the plan. So if you've got a bit of a feel for the next 3 months, what's going to really help move things forward, what's going to be a spanner in the works and stop you getting these results. Often it's time, so it's time, it's money, it's attention, it's focus. Prioritizing is pretty important. So this document will help you prioritize the next 3 months for your business. Core values, that's a separate video completely, and I'm going to try not to spend too much time. You've probably got some sort of core values in your business, even if they're not written down or documented. What are the sort of values that makes a good team member? If you've got a team of people, even if it's just you, what are the values you uphold to provide a good service? What do you want to be known for in your business? So for us, we have we call it PACT, PAKKTT. So the P stands for person first. We're dealing with human beings, so we want to be approachable. A stands for above the line thinking, which is taking accountability individually across the team. The first K is Kaizen, which stands for continuous improvement. We're always looking to improve things or upskill ourselves. Second K is keep it simple, stupid. So that's just not overcomplicating things. And then the first T is team player. So we're a team, so we all have to think for each other, help each other. We're all on the same boat. And the final T is a bit of tough love. So being honest with your clients or being honest with your team members based on the truth can really help get that authenticity with our relationships and what we're doing. So just think what values for you. It might be quality first. It might be customer comes first. It might be get the job done by all means. It might be keep your promises, whatever that means. Meeting rhythms. So, meetings can get a bit of a bad rep, really. But we need, you either let the meetings be ad hoc and they control you, or you control them. So meetings are useful when it's the same time, the same place every week or every month, and the same agenda. If it's a free-for-all, meetings can go off track. They can take hours, and you don't really feel like anyone got anything done. So meetings can be really useful if you've got a set agenda and you've got an outcome for those meetings. So that can be different for everyone's business. We have a weekly meeting. We call it an out 10 meeting because we aim to give ourselves 10 out of 10 in terms of how productive that meeting was. We have a monthly one-to-one catch-up of all our team members. We have a quarterly strategic type meeting, and we have an annual vision day as well. That's probably enough. So rocks are kind of a little bit of an overlap, if I'm honest, with some of the other stuff. Rocks are kind of the big activities, the big goals, the big projects you've got on. What are the big, the rocks that are going to be the bulk of your time and your wins for the next quarter. So for example, if you've got a huge project on that, you might treat that as a rock. Or if you've got, for us, for example, sometimes later on in the year, November, December, January, a rock would be our tax returns. We need to get the tax returns done. Or it could be something that's not part of the day-to-day. We're trying to move a project forward. We're trying to introduce a new service. So kind of the big goals. I know it's a little bit of an overlap with some of the stuff up here, but the rocks is getting down to the nitty-gritty. What are those big objectives? Some people call them OKRs, objectives and key results. Who's going to do them and when's the due date? And just if you want to put a couple of personal goals on there, is it to get in shape at the gym? Is it to work less, spend more time with your family, get a holiday? Is it to write a book? Whatever that is for you. So hopefully that's useful, guys. I'm going to share a lot more business content in the coming months, but reach out if you've got any questions. Cheers.